All right, guys, it is finally here, what we've all been waiting for. Starfinder has official support now on Fantasy Grounds. So what I wanted to do today was take you guys through a little tour of it, a little bit of a first look, show you guys what works, what needs a little bit of tweaking, talk about some of the features that are coming down the pipeline, and just give you guys an overall glance at what all is included in Fantasy Grounds for Starfinder support. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started. Welcome, adventurers, or possibly Starfinders. My name is Cody. This is Taking 20, a channel about all things role-playing games. And of course, today we're taking a look at the new Starfinder system in Fantasy Grounds. Now, before we jump in, I do want to mention that Starfinder has some really unique support because it's a Paizo product versus traditional Dungeons and Dragons or Wizards of the Coast products, in being that if you are already subscribing to the Starfinder PDFs, that will in fact reduce your price here for Starfinder in Fantasy Grounds. So that is amazing. It's one of the things that I think is really fascinating and unique, and something that both Paizo and Fantasy Grounds do that really you don't see with any of the other companies out there, either from the publisher or from the distributor standpoint. So and I will touch on pricing here at the end of the video and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But for now, let's go ahead and jump in. Everything here works just like it usually does. We're going to load a campaign instead of creating a new one. I just created a third tester video, a third tester game. So let's go ahead and load that up. Okay, guys, so the first thing you're going to be greeted with, of course, is the regular campaign setup. Let's go ahead and just close that down. We don't need to show that on load. And here we go. So a lot of the layout here is very similar to what you'll see in either Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons here for Starfinder, but because we have Starship Combat, we've got some different things for the game. We do have a few things going on here on the side that are a little bit different. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to kind of figure out how we want to run this game. For us, let's go ahead and just go to all, and as you can see here, if I'm just a GM, here's the panels that I need. If I'm a player, I don't really need a whole lot of panels. And then of course, if I want to create a PC, it adds a couple things like feats and classes. And then of course, all is just absolutely everything. And that is just really loaded down so you guys can see just how much they have done here. Because the Starfinder core rulebook, it's just a bigger book than Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so you can kind of see how the panels work there, and we'll dive into some of these here individually. But first, let's go over here to our modules, and we're going to load some stuff up. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of spoilers for Dead Suns, but I do want to show off Dead Suns. So if you are planning on playing in Dead Suns, there will be a few spoilers coming up here, but it'll just be the very beginning of it, so I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. All right, and let's go ahead and load that in as well. You can see this little check mark means that players have access to this. So anything from the Alien Archive, the additional races here, they can load those in. I don't need to load that in because I'm the GM. And let's load in the very first Dead Suns as well. Okay, so all we've loaded in is the core rulebook, the Alien Archive, and then the first part of Dead Suns. We haven't touched the other two adventure paths, and that's it. We're done. So now that we've done that, you can see all this stuff has been kind of added on over here. And then of course we can jump into the core rulebook, and this is nice. This is basically a nice way to look at the core rulebook if you just want to look at it like section by section, kind of how you remember the PDF or how you remember the particular book activated. That's kind of that'll work there. So you can just go right in here to data, pop over here, and boom, there you go. Of course, we have the Alien Archive. It's set up in a very similar fashion. Let me open up some NPCs. Typically, you would not be getting to this information this route. We'll show you how that is, but this is really, really nice. They have a lot of really great things set up. It's all alphabetical by default, but again, I will show you some additional things here in just a moment about the Alien Archive. And then, of course, we have the first part of Dead Suns, which is all set up here. The story panel being kind of your main panel that you'll work from. And again, a lot of these panels here, they're duplicated over here on the side. Okay, so now we've got our library set up. Let's go ahead and pop down over here to data, and we're going to dump this back down to just the GM stuff. So if you're running the game, you can kind of really see how that works. So of course we have our story panel, and there we go. Let's grab that. Let's just expand that just a little bit here. So this is basically your group, and this is going to be for everything. What you want to do is, this is a great way to sort things down. So especially if you have Dead Sons Part 1, Dead Sons Part 2, like if you're right in between the books of the end of Dead Sons 1 and you want to go ahead and load in Dead Sons 2, you can kind of sort and filter things down a little bit. This isn't going to reduce a whole lot. It will reduce some things, but let's go down here. So just the Dead Sons first part of the adventure, you can kind of see that there. Of course, everything we click on is going to load in here. Now, I will say that this is a little dark, in my opinion. It's a little dark, but ultimately, you know, it's nothing that you can't read. You can, of course, scale your UI and do things like that. Let's pop back over here, and let's go actually into the first part of the adventure. A few spoilers coming up here, so if you're going to play, you may want to skip a little bit ahead in the video. But all we're going to really talk about is the very first scene. So, caught in the crossfire. Okay. Now, so this is kind of the story panel here. Anything you see here, you can grab and just drag right down there on your hotbar. So as you're preparing your game, you can just do that. This will pop right back up for you. And then everything you see here with the little piezo symbol, that is going to take you into additional tabs, additional things that are going to pop up. So some of these things are maps, as you can see here, and then some of these things are the actual encounter. So let's go ahead and pop up the GM map. Let's right click this, go over here to our resize, and resize this down to a small size. So this is just for us GMs, and you can see they've kind of are showing you where everything on this particular map is going to be loaded in, but you actually don't need that, and I'll show you why. So let's go back over here to the actual map. Again, let's resize this down to a small size, and then let's drag it up a little bit here. That's about enough right there, I think. And we can drag this panel kind of over. That's probably a little big, in my opinion. Let's drag it to right about there or so. All right, and now as we go into our encounters, whenever you pull up your encounter and you see these placements here, and they already have check marks, that means that they are already placed on the map. So all the monsters and creatures that you're going to be using when you're running these modules, they're going to pop up right on the map. So let's show you kind of how that looks. And of course, I've really been debating on doing a full-on Fantasy Grounds kind of series. If you guys want to see that, I'm having a really hard time grabbing this catty corner here. Look at that. See, yeah, that's a little rough. I'm not able to really resize that down the way I want to, even though I know you can. Let's just dump it for now. So when you go over here to your combat tracker, which is always the 2 swords, shows you that you've got some combat going on. And then let's come over here to our encounter, and I will show you kind of what's going on here on the map. So now that we have this encounter from the story, in the story we go to the encounter. These are already placed down. We can hit this little arrow. It's going to pop it right in here to the combat tracker. And now you can actually show that these come up here on the map. So we've got 3 guys from this particular gang that have popped right in on the map. And you can do the same thing for the story. Let's go back to, whoops, that's not what we want. We want this caught in the crosshairs. So let's go back down here to the other encounter. And this is actually this is the same encounter, but, and again, spoilers, there's 2 different types of gangs, and I don't know why they didn't make this all one encounter. Kind of feel like they could have, but it's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and add those guys to the map as well. And you can see that as soon as I did, now these guys have popped up. As I put my player tokens here on the map, all I have to do is come over here and I can show them. And now I've got everything right there ready to go. Of course, the combat tracker will show me the stats that I want for each of these guys as I need them. So I can turn this on for everybody, or I can just turn them on for one of the gang members since they're so similar. I can turn on their armor classes so you can see their EAC and their kinetic AC. We can show their types of attacks right here. Easy peasy. We can add additional stats for our initiative. And we can close these down. We can even go into their, okay, space and reach, that's not a big deal. And then their effects, they've got humanoid traits, nothing magical there. And of course, if we just want to pop up the whole stat block, it's just right there. So you can, once you add these guys into the combat trackers, boom, there you go. And now we have everything nice and pretty and clean and set up and ready to go. All right, so that's kind of how the modules are going to work. Looks pretty good. Let's talk about some of the other features here that I know you guys want to see. And the one thing I'm betting you want to see is, how does Starship Combat work? Well, it does and it doesn't. So let's go down here to images. And what you'll want to do is, one of the first things you'll want to do is you'll want to find the space mat. So we're going to type in space. There's the map space. Here you go. Here's your battle grid, if you will. And I'm going to advise you right now to go ahead and add this on your hotbar at the very end, because you're not going to want to have to go through your image tab every time. So let's talk about starships. So here's the deal. I talked to Doug with Fantasy Grounds with Smiteworks, and they have Starship Combat up enough to function, but they don't have it to the point where everything is automated like it is on like it is in the regular combat. And they didn't want to delay anything as far as the release goes anymore. So Starfinder, Starship Combat is on the way as far as being more automated. At the moment, it is a little bare bones, but it is still completely functional. So let's kind of show here. And you can build out your starships. You can add new starships if you want. Boom. You can add all your stats and everything like there, or right there. And let's we don't really need this here, so let's edit and dump that at the moment. Okay. But let's just take this let's take a couple. Okay, let's take a cruiser. No problem. Let's just take a cruiser and let's slap it out here. Whoops, that's the pin. And here we go. Now we've got that. So you can see some of the stuff has art, some of the stuff does not. And that kind of depends on your which vehicles you're looking at. So let's see if we can look. So this one is a small shuttle, and it does actually have a token. Okay, now I will tell you one last thing that I mentioned to Doug in my last email exchange was, hey, possibly because facing is so important that we may want to do hex grids, right? We may want to do actually hexagon tokens. And he said that was something that they would look into, because facing is important here. So you can see, like right here, this might be a little tough to determine, but not all the tokens are quite this difficult. So let's see if I can't find a couple. Let's see if I can't, like this one right here. This is a great example. So with this, facing on this probably won't be that difficult, right? You can kind of tell which direction the ship is facing, where the arcs are. And so something like this isn't as bad. But on something like this, okay, you could say this is the front. On this, you kind of have to lay that out with your game master and with your players whenever you're doing that. So this is functional. It's not incredibly smooth yet, but it's, it just depends on how much Starship Combat is in your campaign, in your particular games, how heavy it is. It does work. It absolutely does work, and it is going to improve right now at launch. It's just bare bones. So there you guys go. That's kind of how Starship Combat works here in this initial release. Okay, so, and then the last thing here, of course, is we want to look at PC ships and PC character sheets. And you can see they've still got well, you guys actually can't see this, but right here, because it's buried behind the screen, we just had a small little error pop up here on this side. It's interesting. I really can't show you that. You guys can see the mouse, but you can't see this whole huge hunk of text here. Okay, but not a big deal. Everything here still pops up, and then of course you can add all that into your players, or add all that in for your players. And then of course, let's talk about creating a PC. All right, so we can come down here and let's make, I think that's Starship actually, which we don't want. Let's come down here and make a quick little character, or at least show you guys kind of what this looks like. And pretty much exactly as functional as you would hope. Not rescalable from what I could tell. But again, I think that this is very, very early in the release. And as Fantasy Grounds continues to build and add support for this, and Paizo continues to partner with them, because I know that some of their partners work better than others, that this stuff will get cleaned up. But so a lot of this stuff should be very familiar with you. You've got your regular skills tab, your abilities tab. You've got stuff for inventory. Of course, everything is drag and drop over here. And I'm not going to build a character right now. We'll go into a full tutorial on how to do that. But in essence, you go in here to your races, you know, you drag Android over and it would start filling stuff in. Again, I'm not going to do all that. And you can see that a lot of the stuff here is automated. That whenever as you add feats in, as you add items in, it's just going to continue to automate and automate and automate. And then anything that you guys have here, you can always drag down onto your hot bar, show off your strength score. You can actually do like a roll, drag that there. That'll roll for everybody. If you want to do a skill check, you can literally just drag. Well, I said that, but I think it's this filled right here, maybe. Yeah, there you go. There's the dice roll. So yeah, you can drag skills on here, so you can do initiative checks and all that stuff very easy. There you go, Saber Dice fans. There's your nice little 4. But there you go. So that is kind of an initial walkthrough. Everything else is supported in here for players. Spells, there's lots of automation. You can drag things onto the bestiary, onto the the Alien Archive NPCs, which let me just show you that real quick before we get out of here and talk about pricing. Let me just show you that here. So I want an NPC tab. Let me go here. Let me go GM. All right, now, so I've got encounters, which I don't want. I want NPCs here. Okay, NPCs. So this is one of the main tabs that I will suggest you have laid out, and you can save this where these things pop up with a /save. But you can sort your NPCs alphabetically. You can sort your NPCs by their CR. You can even sort them by type. So I know that when we were looking at through data, through the Alien Archive, through there, it only gave us the option of alphabetical. But with your NPC stat block right here, you have a few different ways to sort them. And of course, as things get added, so if you want to see everything that you have, there's everything. If you want to just see what's in the Alien Archive, you can see just what's in the Alien Archive. If you're not worried about the Alien Archive, you just want to see all the few monsters and the few creatures that are inside this first part of Dead Suns, because that's what you're running, then you can see that sorts the list significantly. And then, of course, if you want to create encounters, you can make a new encounter. There we go. Let's just do a quick test encounter. And then let's drag some NPCs onto this list. So you can just grab there. Let's make this 5 of these. Okay, great. And then you can see these have not been placed on any maps. And then if I go back over here to the combat tracker, and I think I can remove all of these. I think I can remove all these right here. Okay. And then, so now I've created my encounter. I can come down here, and once I've created that, I can add all of these into the tracker. Okay. And I can see as much information as I want, or as little information as I want, as I'm making all of these attacks. And there you go. That is the basic walkthrough of what you guys will get in the Starfinder Fantasy Grounds module. Next up, let's talk very, very quickly about some pricing. Okay, guys, so let's take a quick look at what I was talking about. So I can't show you the prices because of the way that my account already has the products, but I will show you the Paizo account synchronization that I was speaking of. So when you come up here to the store, you have the regular shop, the regular add-ons, you can view your order history, all that. They even offer some really great financing, but you'll notice down here that they have Paizo account synchronization. So when you click on that, it basically allows you to go to the Paizo website and get an authorization token that you can put in here with your Fantasy Grounds account, and that will tell Smiteworks all of the PDFs and products that you own for Starfinder and Pathfinder, and then vice versa. So when you get ready to actually go to the store and purchase some of the Starfinder books or Pathfinder books, those things will actually be reduced in price. Again, I can't really show you because of the way that I haven't added to my account, but when you do that, it will actually reduce the price on there. I think, if I remember correctly, it was somewhere in the ballpark of $10 for the PDF on the core rulebook. So if you bought the PDF of the core rulebook for $10, I think it actually reduces your cost a full $10 here on Fantasy Grounds, which is, I mean, nobody else is offering that. Wizards of the Coast isn't doing that. Roll20 isn't doing anything like that with their partners right now. It's really, really, really cool to see Fantasy Grounds work with Paizo in such just a positive consumer way. Just a big win for us. And so, and I think I want to say that it reduced the price of the like Dead Sons. I think it was like $7 it reduced it by. So those aren't going to be completely free, or you're not going to get 100% of your money back from the PDF like you do the core rulebook. But still, it's really, really nice to see you can, on your subscription for Paizo, to have that PDF to take with you on a tablet or something along those lines. And then when you get ready to jump on Fantasy Grounds to game online, you can do so at a reduced cost. So big win, I think, for us as consumers to see these companies working together like that. So there you go, guys. There is a quick initial run through of Starfinder. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to see a full-on Starfinder Fantasy Grounds video series? You know, I'm not sure I really want to commit to that yet, but if enough of you guys are interested in it, then I would certainly consider that, or maybe even one for Dungeons and Dragons if you guys want to see me do a series over there as well. I've been doing a lot of learning here on Fantasy Grounds. You know, I've been on Fantasy Grounds completely now for a while, but I haven't really had to run a lot of games in there. And now that I have Saber Dice coming up, I've been doing all the extra little works to really make that nice and clean and pretty. And so I'm feeling more confident, much more confident in the software. And if you guys are interested in a tutorial series on that, let me know. Again, no promises, but if enough people say they want one, I'll definitely consider it and put it on the agenda. If this is your first time here and you love role-playing games as much as I do, I'd love to have you subscribe. Every week I put out new videos on GM tips, player tips, tutorials, and more. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, just hit the subscribe button. It's like right down there-ish, and come join us. I want to give a huge thank you to all the kick-ass supporters over at welcomeadventures.com over on my Patreon. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot to me. If you guys like what I do, you want to support the show, you can go over to welcomeadventures.com and grab some rewards for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Cody, and may your games be filled with awesome memories and even better friends. I'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.